Hey, Pool Chasers. Thank you for joining us today on episode 43 of the Pool Chasers podcast. Our mission is to help educate and inspire in the form of a podcast. In this episode, we interview an Arizona legend. We sat down with Tim Murphy, who is the founder and CEO of Presidential Pools, Spas, and Patios, also Blue Square and Pebble Radiance. Presidential is the number one builder in Arizona, as they have built over 29,000 pools in Phoenix and Tucson combined. They have a state-of-the-art pool park which features 6 different pools with all kinds of features for potential customers to see and envision what they might look like in their backyard. Picture this. It's a giant showroom which features pools. Pretty cool, right? Tim was so kind to allow us to come take a tour of the Presidential facility and their pool park. We have to say it was one of the most impressive and organized operations that we have ever seen. If you live in Arizona and you have not checked out the pool park, you're definitely missing out. Tim also took us on tour with the Blue Square facility, which was incredible as well. It was amazing to see where the product is developed and tested. We love what they are doing to help improve the industry. If you ask an Arizona pool professional if they have ever seen or serviced a Presidential pool, we bet their answer is yes. We had several of their pools en route at Brothers, including one of our favorite pools, which you've probably seen all over our Instagram. It's also where the first Pool Chasers photo shoot was done. Tim is someone that we have looked up to over the years, and we are very honored that he came and sat down in the studio with us. We hope you are inspired by his story and that it motivates you to reach the goals you have set for yourself and your company.
This is Scott Comfort with Bluefin Pool Company out of Scottsdale, Arizona, and you are listening to the Pool Chasers Podcast.
Welcome to your go-to podcast for the pool and spa industry. My name is Tyler Rasmussen.
And my name is Greg Villafania. And this is the Pool Chasers Podcast.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Tim.
You're welcome. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you. It's our pleasure. We can't wait to jump into your journey throughout the industry. But first, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Sure. Moved here in 1969. I was only 4 or 5 years old, and from Minnesota, and grew up here, hanging out in the backyard swimming pool, our pool where I grew up, and I'm one. I have 2 brothers, an older brother and a younger brother. Just kind of grew up as a normal kid here in Scottsdale, Arizona.
Nice. I'm sure you've seen a lot of changes here in Scottsdale over the years.
Oh yes, a lot of changes. Everything north of Shea Boulevard was pretty much dirt roads, so it was very interesting.
A lot more cars, that's for sure.
A lot more cars, a lot more traffic, a lot more people. I think right now we're like 4.3 million people, and back in it is a whole different deal. I've actually looked at a few of the old books of just the history of Paradise Valley and the Scottsdale. It's really interesting.
Yeah, I was telling Greg earlier that you probably, if you grew up here, you probably saw it go from dirt roads to ranches, and then expand on from that, because Scottsdale was like you said, nothing north of Shea.
I mean, in the spring, and now it's the home of spring training and car shows and golf tournaments, and I mean, we go through about 3 months of just total chaos.
Absolutely, and it's it's a real different deal. Where I grew up, there were no block walls and things around backyard houses, and I grew up climbing Mummy Mountain as a little kid, and we literally would sleep up on the mountain as little kids, and for the weekend, my parents were like, yeah, go ahead. And so that's how we grew up. We'd have we believe it or not, we'd have bonfires on the side of Mummy Mountain. If that happened today,
oh yeah, you'd be in big trouble.
So different deal.
So you had a pool growing up, and you guys were always in there playing that. How did you kind of like pools?
The game was called Marco Polo, and it was our backyard was the summer haven for me and my buddies pretty much throughout all of our summers, growing up here, and so we hung out in the pool. And
I'm sure they love that. They came from Minnesota or what?
No, just kids I grew up with around the neighborhoods
okay.
here, So yeah, it was just good times. So
that's
nice.
Cool.
Did you have anything in your childhood you think kind of helped shape who you are today? Any of the younger stories or?
Well, my parents moved out here. They were actually, funny thing, they were in the insurance business, and my dad started an insurance. Dad and his brother started an insurance company, and it's funny that you asked that. My uncle would always say, settle the claim, because they had agents all over the U.S. and they transplanted their business out here in beautiful Scottsdale from Minnesota, cold Minnesota, and all the homes and mobile homes. They were in the mobile home insurance business, and they just want to take care of the customer when it came to a claim situation. So I just remember settle the claim, and that was from my uncle, and he was a mentor of mine growing up. So it was I've lived with that statement for forever, basically.
What does it kind of mean?
Well, I think it's morphed into a lot of things for me. It means, take care of the customer, take care of our employees, take care of, situations, and, it just, whatever it took to take care of the customer, not even when there was a claim, just to take care of people and,
customer first mentality.
Exactly.
Basically.
Yeah.
Well,
What other, how else was he a mentor to you? I mean, you've done so many incredible things. What kind of relationship did you guys have? Were you his wingman or what?
Yeah, I mean, we were a very close family. My dad and his brother, that started this company in the 50s. And my uncle was the key, the 10-year older brother, who was my dad really looked up to him. And so I did as well. And he was the entrepreneurial spirit person that I really admired and looked up to. And, he would walk into a room and just light up a room. I mean, he would know everybody by their first name, remember their names, and just a lot of great characteristics, that he had. And you just wanted to be around him.
That's very cool. Do you have a family now?
Yes, I do. I have 2 kids. Yeah, and I'm married for 25 years, and I have a daughter that's attending the University of San Diego, and a son at Notre Dame High School as a senior. So we're getting ready to be an empty nester.
Yeah, you must be very proud.
Most of the time.
Do any of them show any interest in being in the pool industry?
Not really specifically the pool industry. My daughter she's on the entrepreneurial club. She has a large interest in running her own business. She's actually started a business that it's called Lucky Charms. So she makes jewelry. So, but she's focused on college right now. She's a junior, and it'll be interesting.
Yeah,
she's a junior in college.
Uh-huh.
She's 20.
She's 20. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
Moving quick.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah. Does your son play any sports at Notre Dame? I know it's a big sports.
Yeah,
kinda...
he did play sports. Now he's working, and he's senior year, and it's he's down to the crunch time. The prom stuff and all that stuff going on. Yeah. So it's he's has
he picked a college yet?
He's one of 4 colleges he's looking at right now, from Oregon to Gonzaga, and he's got some scholarship stuff going. So academically, so I'm proud of him for that, and we'll see where he decides to go.
For sure.
Did you go to college, Tim?
No, I actually did not go to college.
Okay, so how?
I think I did go for 3 weeks. So
nice. Same here. So has it been pretty important? Did you push your kids at all to kind of have a little bit of a higher education?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of college. I look back and I wish I would have gone to college. I just didn't go. But I think it's a great experience. I think education is great, for especially when you to study something specifically. But the things I wish I would have learned a little more is like finance, accounting, that kind of a would have helped me. And so I kind of lean on other people for that, I guess. But
yeah, those are the difficult parts about business, and that trying to learn by yourself can take some time and mistakes and take a little bit of effort as far as trying to teach yourself that kind of stuff.
So what do you and your family do for fun? I see that that's probably important for you to break away from the business a little bit.
Absolutely. You know, I'm one of these guys where I try and shut it down, you know, at night when I get home. You know, I try not to keep the phone. I keep the phone maybe in the car most of the time, but you know, we like to travel. We go up north, you know, and love to golf, and we've got a little place down in Mexico, and just spend family weekends and holidays traveling and that type of stuff. So, you know,
it's kind of cool your kids chose to do spring break with you in Mexico and stuff. You know, a lot of kids don't choose to be with their parents during those times, so it's cool they did that.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Well, if my parents were going to Mexico, I would. I'm just kidding.
Well, what's funny about it is even coming down here, my first time down to like Rocky Point, which is like the beach area south of Arizona. We were 1974 when we started going down there, so it was talking about a whole different city and different world down there. But you know, I was 9 years old running on the beach down there, so it was kind of crazy.
For sure. Hey guys, we're interviewing a few Jobbers customers today to let you hear their testimonials. So, all right, can you just tell me your name, your business name, you know, kind of what you guys do?
Sure. My name is Hal Denbar with Patriot Pool and Spa in Austin, Texas. We are a service company that about 60% of our business is weekly pool cleaning, and the rest is equipment installation and repair.
Throughout that 13 years, you know, when did you guys start using Jobber?
We started using Jobber in 2014 when we got to the point that I was no longer the person out in the field doing repair work, and I needed to find a system that I could efficiently and easily schedule my repair techs out in the field.
Yeah, is that why you initially started using Jobber then?
It is, yeah. I needed to figure out a way going forward that we could scale multiple employees out in the field, and Jobber was the solution that I found, and we're still using it to this day.
Well, there you go. We could not have said it better ourselves. So if you guys want to check out a software solution for your business, please go to getjobber.com/pool chasers. That's getjobber.com/pool chasers. If you go to that website, you can get a 14-day free trial as well as 20% off your first 6 months. So it's a great deal. Check it out. So kind of read up on you a little bit and read an article, you know, that your dad said he wasn't going to pay for college, and that kind of helped jumpstart your kind of entrepreneurial spirit, you know, in high school. Can you kind of share with us how that started?
Sure. You know, my parents were pretty Midwest. My mom was a coupon shopper, basically, you know, which is great. Real savers, you know. And they grew up, you know, in a different time, and they just pretty much wanted us to kind of do our own deal. And you know, at the end of high school, it was kind of like we were on our own, and we kind of knew it. We knew it going on our whole life. We knew it. You know, it's you know, I don't know. I just didn't think it was really what I wanted to do is go to college. I kind of wanted to make money,
Sure.
Be successful, and start working. So that's what I did.
So what did you do? You started tile cleaning in high school, right?
Yeah, even before that, I was like I started a little window washing business. I started auto detailing cars. I worked at several different restaurants, from a dishwasher to a prep cook, you know, and just different jobs. And kind of learned what I wanted to do, and at kind of an early age, even as early as like 14 years old.
Yeah.
Did you learn at an early age that you didn't really like working for people?
Oh, I don't know about that. I you know, I that's too early to really think of. You know, I just always found kind of like my uncle. I just kind of like I wanted to do something on my own. You know, I didn't really want to. Just, you know, I just kind of wanted to do it on my own.
Sure.
So you started is that kind of your first business with pools, right? Was in high school with cleaning tile and servicing some pools, building routes, things like that?
Well, actually what I first started doing was, we had to clean the calcium off of our waterline tile in our backyard pool. So I came up with this idea of why don't I deliver the flyers, you know, around the neighborhood. and charge like $1 a foot with a pumice stone. What we did, elbow grease and pumice stone, and we had a bunch of calls that came in, and I hired a bunch of my friends and paid them like 50 cents a foot and charged $1 a foot, and these kids I'd roll in and drop off these kids with my mom driving us around, and they would clean the waterline tile, and next thing we know, we'd have another job. So that's kind of how we started cleaning pools, is really just scrubbing tile. So
that's a really cool story. Did you guys ever progress from pumice stone to another way of cleaning tile?
Back then, now this is back in like the late 70s, and I don't think there really was any other method out there. But I remember going to I figured out where to buy pumice stone, and I would go down to Pool Water Products, and I would actually go back into the back, and I would actually look for the lightest boxes of pumice stone, because they're all different weights of pumice stone, and the lighter pumice stone was easier to it was more efficient on cleaning the tile. So, but this is before glass beading and all those technologies were out there, and I actually tried to figure out how to do that, but I never got there. So
nice.
So you started picking up some of those clients, right, as like pool service from there?
Actually, what I did is I never really, I didn't get into the pool service immediately. What I started doing was doing acid washes. So I went in from cleaning waterline tile, and I started doing draining pools and cleaning the interior of pools. The pools back then, were all plaster. They're really, Pebble Tech really wasn't existence back then. It was really just a plaster finished pools. And the green pools, people that let their pools go, I would go in and drain the pool and pump them out and scrub them down with muriatic acid. And then I created this whole concept of, let's build this little flyer campaign, and I did the bulk mail, and I would hit targeted zip codes, and that's where it really got very interesting for me.
That's awesome. And I'm assuming while you're doing all that, this is where you ran into Greg Garrett?
Actually, yes, that is. Yeah, that's when I ran into Greg Garrett about 3 or 4 years into that. And I had a problem on a pool, and he helped me out.
Nice. Can you share that story with us? Because he was really hyped on it. He was actually on episode 27, and it was, a real, kind of success story that, he took the time to actually talk with you, because we see so many different professionals in backyards and things like that, and he was happy that he took the time to kind of talk with you.
Yeah, so I got a hold of Greg Garrett. He was known in the industry as an expert in the plaster industry. There are a lot of phenomenons with plaster and discolorations and staining and back, way back, they used to use like an asbestos material in the plaster, and they quit doing that. And so as the changing environment and different materials, Greg was really up to speed on all that. So we had a pool that I drained it and acid washed it, and it just didn't come out well. And I called him, and he met me out there and really coached me and gave me some great advice going forward. So I remember that. Well, that was way back when. That's funny that you brought that up.
Yeah. That was a really fun story when he shared it with us. So, okay, you're doing the acid washes. Now, can you just share with us, just your time with servicing pools and doing repairs? Do you feel that helped you, getting into the building phase of your career?
Yeah, well, what happened was I was literally doing, I would work like from January to the end of April, 7 days a week. I was doing like 3 to 4 acid washes a day, and I was doing it by myself. I had maybe a helper with me, and I would just strategically hit certain zip codes. And so basically I would just drain 3 pools a day and go do 3 acid washes a day. At the end of the day, I would go set 3 more pumps, and I did that every day, 7 days a week for 4 or 5 months until it got hot. And I did that for probably about a 5-6 year period. And then the rest of the year I would start a pool service because I had all these customers from acid washes, and then I would at about the end of the year I would end up selling the pool service to kind of like a senior citizen. There are tons of people I could always sell a pool service to, and I'd build up to like 40 accounts pretty quickly, and then I would get back into the acid wash season. And the acid wash season also allowed me to learn more about like replacing pumps and filters and that kind of thing. So it was a very educational time for me. Just learning more about the pools.
Yeah. And you said that you were selling pools to senior citizens?
Selling the account. I would build the pool service account up, and then I would have like there are always like a senior. I'd put an ad in 40 pools, a route of 40 pools for sale, and it seemed like I was always targeting more of a senior guy that would want to go out and do something part time. So that's what I did.
Looking to double dip or something.
Just looking to service pools.
Just curious, who was the big builder back then when you were servicing?
Well, back then there were a slew of pool builders. The large pool builders were obviously Paddock and Shasta. There was another builder, Aquarian Age, that was pretty large, and they were predominantly the big pool builders in the valley.
Okay, nice.
So how did you kind of make that shift into building pools? You had to say a cool story about how you got into building, right?
Well, yeah. So I grew up in high school. His parents set him up and said, "Hey, go build a spec house." And his name was Greg, and he said, "I go, Greg, can I help you build this pool, this pool in the spec home?" And he said, "Sure." And I go, "I just want to do it. I'll do it at cost. Let's just figure it out. I want to get the subs and I want to learn it." So I hired the subs, right? And he paid for all the different subs. And literally, when the crew would show up, I would be there with a shovel and whatever it was, and I would work with the subs just to kind of learn, how they plumbed the pool, how they dug it, and rebar, and like through the whole phase. And I got to tell you that first pool that was one of the hardest pools, by the way, I've ever built. That first pool, and it was designed by an architect and not a pool builder, and we just followed that plan. So it was an education for me for sure.
What made it so difficult?
Oh, it just really the specs on the plan weren't really very thorough, and the detail was very detailed. A lot of detail work to it. It wasn't your normal. I guess say back then it was. I started with a real high-end pool in the Street of Dreams, which was these monster homes that they built, and that was the pool I ended up my first pool. So it was a very high-end pool, and it was very detailed, and it wasn't your typical cookie-cutter pool that was built back in the day. This was way back in the late 80s. So,
were you nervous to get into your next one?
I absolutely loved it. I couldn't wait. So I literally, after I built that pool, I was like, "Man, this is so cool," and I was really excited about it. And I just put the word out there that this is what I was going to do. And I, obviously growing up here, I knew a ton of people. Our family did, and first year I built 5 pools.
Very good. So do you actually know how to do every single phase of the building process? Have you hopped on the heavy equipment to do excavation and all that stuff?
No, I've not hopped on a front end loader or a bobcat. I'm not very coordinated, but
even when no one's looking.
No, I haven't done that, but I have worked on every single phase though of the pool. Absolutely. So I understand every phase. So,
which part's your favorite of that process?
I got to tell you that what's absolutely amazing in building a pool, and even to this day, I mean, all I think 30,000 pools that we built in the valley. I got to tell you, shotcrete, it's just amazing when you have a pool that's dug and it looks like, this big chicken wire fence thing with plumbing sticking out of the ground all over the place, and then within a matter of 2.5 hours, boom, you have an instant pool shell. A concrete truck pulls up and you have a shotcrete rig pull up and a 3-inch hose wrapping around the side of the yard, pumping concrete into a wall, and you have an instant pool in 3 hours that'll be there for 50, 100 years. It's really that phase is absolutely amazing.
It's cool. Like when the shotcrete gets sprayed, it's
Right.
the first indicator, I think, to the family that, okay, I think a pool's being built here. Because because you're like digging the hole. They always show the shows and all this stuff where you're looking in the backyard like, I don't know what the hell all this is, because you got wood and plumbing and rebar and you got guys all over the place. And once it gets sprayed, it's like, oh, wow. Like you see the shell, and obviously there's more that goes into the other phases, but at least you're filling it in.
It's a big impact stage, the shotcrete stage for sure. However, I will definitely disagree. When the dump truck shows up and the Bobcat rolls in and tears everything out, we typically build pools that are people are living there in existing homes, and they've got, the grass and the brick borders and everything all nice in place and everything. And we go in and tear everything out in its path. That's when the homeowner is like, oh my, we're going to have a pool built.
Right. So what happened to my fence? Where's my brick wall go?
We tear down the wall. We take the satellite dish off. Sometimes move an air conditioning unit. I mean, it's massive chaos is when it really starts.
Yeah.
Hey, Pool Chasers. We hope you're enjoying this episode so far. We'll jump right back into it in a minute. We are very proud to announce that Jandy has come on as a supporter of the podcast. It's a true honor for us that they have chosen to believe in us and the Pool Chasers community. Their support will help us in our efforts to bring you better content and our mission to help make this the best industry it can possibly be.
Yes, their dedication to the businesses that make up our industry align very well with our vision here at Pool Chasers, and we are super excited to have their support. With their recent quitting the internet policy, which went into effect January 1st, they're taking a firm stance to support our industry. They have pulled over 400 SKUs offline, and as of January 1, no manufacturer's warranty will be provided if the product is purchased online. They've even put a team in place which monitors the web 24/7 to help ensure that the details of the policy are being followed. We think this policy is a great step forward for our industry and are so glad that a company has taken a stand for service guys and gals out there.
So if you haven't heard episode 31 yet, please go listen to it to find out more information, or go to jandy.com/buildstrong. That's jandy.com/buildstrong. How did Presidential Pool and Spas, come about? When was that started and founded?
We started in 1991, and I was, built my first pool, and it was, I actually ran into I was at a new home that was being built, and I ran into a cabinet guy, and I was like trying to think of a great name for our company, and I liked the, something with, the initial, with the letter P with pools, and so I thought, wow, presidential pools. There's a cabinet company with presidential cabinetry. I'm like, wow, that's cool, presidential pools. And so that's how I came up with a name. But it's been a great name. I like it. I'm a big fan of the U.S. obviously, the military and everything else, and it's a great solid name. And I'm really happy that I did come up with that.
Right. Thank you. Did you have goals in the very beginning? Did you see it being what it is today?
I'll tell you, real young, my goal was I wanted to be successful. So I don't know if the path of being a pool builder or pool service, what I had no clue of what I was going to be. I was some kid in a backyard pool, right? I had no clue what I wanted to do or be in life. But I did want to be successful, and I was willing to do whatever it took to do that. So, and I didn't know which path that would be. I had no idea.
It seems like it's difficult when you have no idea what it is you want to do, but you do know you want to be successful. Did you ever get to a point where things started making more sense, or you just had to keep moving forward and you just figured things out along the way? Was there some kind of moment in time where it all just started to click and you knew what it was you wanted to do?
I honestly know. It's just every day was a new day, and just I was real fortunate to grow up, here in Arizona with a fast booming economy and a lot of people moving here, and so I was very fortunate with that, and I just showed up basically, I just showed up to the backyard and to the homeowner's house, and just being honest with the homeowners, and it was just one pool at a time. So I just think it kind of morphed into what we are.
Sure.
Can you kind of share with us a little bit more of the presidential pool's history, kind of when you started in 91 through, going through the economy and everything that happened? Can you share all that with us?
Sure. I started in 1991, July. That year I built 5 pools, and I was very hands-on. I sold the pool. I laid it out, and I met with the subs, and I subbed every phase out, obviously back then. But I had like my own cleanup trailer, and I wasn't just I did a lot of the work, everything I could do on my own. But I started the pool up. I did the intro with the homeowner. I mean, I was there every day. Every single day I would build a pool. I would literally be sitting out in my truck waiting for the sub to show up, and with a checkbook in my car, and I wanted to make sure everything went perfect, and that's how I started it. And the next year I think I did like 27 pools the following year, and at 92, and so that's kind of how I started it. Then I started hiring some people to help me with sales, and because my passion was really building the pool. I wanted to make sure that the job was taken care of. I wanted to make sure that the pool was built right. So I was like the construction guy. I was, as the presidential kind of grew, and I hired a guy named James, and I actually built his pool. It's a funny story. I built this guy's pool, and he was in another industry and wasn't happy. And he was like, "Wow, this is really cool." So I obviously got to know him because I got to know every customer I built a pool for, right? And so he's like, "Can I help you with your business?" I said, "Sure." I go, "What do you want to do?" He goes, "I'll tell you what. Here's my pager." So I handed him my pager because I was getting like so many calls of people who wanted pools built that I didn't really want to deal with the upfront sales side of it anymore. My goal was to train him how to sell pools and how to deal with the upfront and the pricing. So I set up a price schedule and structure with all that, showed him how I did it. And he took it on and started selling pools. And I was the guy who was out building pools. And so that thing just kept morphing into, then he hired a guy to help him. And then I hired a guy to help me. And that guy hired another guy to help him. And
yeah.
So
you were building quite a bit of pools before the economy crashed, right? What happened in 2008, 09 when?
So to fast forward a little bit, so we ended up, so every year we went from 27 pools, next year 50 pools, next year 101. I had every year tracked down, but we grew. We literally almost doubled every year in pool sales, and it was fun. It was a very, very fun time of my life. I was in my early 30s, and it was exciting. We were building this company, taking care of customers. We're out there on Saturdays. I was spray painting the plumbing, and so we were getting so busy. I actually had this truck. I remember I bought these company trucks. I would literally take the passenger seat out of the truck and I just had files wrapped around me. Now you got to remember this is you got to remember this is before cell phones. We had pagers, we had two-way radios, so we didn't have the technology that you had today. Software programs that tell you where the schedule and all this type of stuff. It was two-way pager to the office, 1 to 2. Schedule shotcrete for this pool. We got a green tag. It was very kind of raw, and that's how we built presidential pools. And then we were building so many pools back. I would say now 5-6 years into it, we're building 400 or 500 pools a year. And we couldn't get the subs to do our work because we were just growing so much. So we ended up starting in-house. And that was a big change for presidential pools. So we got into excavation. So the company wanted to sell, so we bought them out, and now we instantly had our excavation department division, and that was about in 1996. And so again, we're just trying to morph into what was the best way to grow our business,
Right. And why did you guys decide to do that?
Well, we had no choice. I mean, we could not get our pools dug because it was so busy out there. We were so busy we couldn't meet the demands of our pool sales, and so we really only had one choice of we had to get our pools dug, and the only way we could do that was to start an excavation company. So that's why we did that. And so that led us into other industries too. A year later, we started shotcrete. So I went up to the world of concrete, bought our first shotcrete rig, and a few years after that, we had 9 shotcrete rigs. And we had, I can't remember, 10, 12 excavate, 10-wheelers, with dump trucks and all kinds of stuff. And just the whole business started morphing into not really presidential pools, but all the different departments around presidential pools. So,
yeah. You think it was easier to find subs before that recession in 2008?
Well, this is back actually in late 90s, early 2000s is when we started in-house. And so we never really, there were recessions back in the 90s and like the software, the .com bust in 2001. But I got to tell you, we never felt it. We never really felt a downturn, even though there were downturns. But from 91 to 2008, we were going straight to the moon. I mean, we in 2006 was our biggest year. We were doing 2,100 pools a year. And I had 350 employees. And we said we had in-house shotcrete, in-house decking, we were pouring concrete, excavation. We had a plumbing crew. We had a tile crew. Obviously we did all of our own warranty and startup and everything around there. But before you turn around, we were 350 employees. So
How did you guys get so successful so fast? It just seems like from the very beginning you were just doing really well.
I think our secret, not really secret, but I think that I'm most proud of is our system. We built a system on how to do production, and so we had 40 salespeople, and we built a process. And the process was very important because it was the only way we could grow this business. So it's people that I've hired that literally they're still with me today, and the subcontractors are that when we said we did this all in house, we didn't do it all in house. We were only doing probably 50% of the pool in house with the 350 employees. So we had a system in place. We had an unbelievable CAD department. That took the sales guy. We had a no list. The salespeople were not allowed to sell certain things. We created a environment that we kind of wanted to really control our sales staff. We didn't let our salespeople just go out and sell whatever they wanted to sell. And then that plan got turned into a CAD plan, and the CAD plan was designed where the project manager who ran the job could understand it. And then we had several sign-offs from the homeowners. And it was a system that we really had in place. And that's really what I credit growth towards for our business. No question about it.
Was that your idea from the beginning to have a system? Did you know that if there was a system in place, you could actually be more productive?
You know, I have an unbelievable team around me, and I've had some of these people there from day one, and that's really the credit I give. You know, I just really put great people together and try and motivate them, and here we go, you know. So
when did that process kind of start and develop? In the very beginning, or did you guys, when you were smaller, did you create a process to help growth and scale it? Or
no, we never really sat down and had some like technical business plan of, hey, we're going to be here, here, and here, and this is where we're going to see it. No, literally, we just, again, wanted to really take care of the customer, take care of our employees, build a great product, and have great pricing and be competitive. And, you know, you put all this in a pot and stir it around, and good things can happen. And that's what really happened for us.
Because I think when we were running the pool service company, we kind of laid out certain procedures as well, because of, like you're saying with your no-no list, like you know, we would tell certain the guys and certain customers that we had a no-no list, I guess, between us two, where it was like only these specific kind of clients, only these specific kind of pools. You know, we'd only take on pools that kind of we would do ourselves. And if we didn't feel like we would clean it or service it or do those repairs, we wouldn't take it on. So I think that kind of falls on, how did you kind of realize like you needed to stick with this no-no list because it would just take too much time to do these certain other things that you would get behind on them? Or
Well, Tyler, I got to tell you, it was really about when we made mistakes, and we knew like products didn't work and didn't hold up. And we knew that there were better products that were coming out. For instance, you know, we were selling Hayward pool equipment, and that was our equipment we sold, and they came out with these controllers and the automation, you know, and we just got tired of doing like yellow time clocks, you know, and this is back in the late 70s. We wanted to automate every pool, you know, so we that was one of our things on our no-no list, you know. Pebble Tech, you know, had a great interior, and we just didn't want to use standard white plaster anymore in our pools. So that's another thing we just didn't do back, you know, in the day. And the other thing, I'm just thinking about a lot of this stuff, but the like acrylic decking, you know, we used to do cool deck, you know. Well, with cool deck, you make a mistake or something happens, you can't patch it. It'll never look the same, but acrylic you can. And so those are the things that we've learned, just simple things like that we wanted to have high quality products. But then we had like design technical things where we didn't want our pool sales guys to sell, you know, a massive boulder where water would be running over it, and it could become a problem with, when you do something like a big, huge shelf, we wanted to do this with artificial rock because we knew we could repair it. We knew we could take care of it.
Those big grotto type things.
Exactly. Certain things like that. And that was the pool back then too, by the way. The rock was a huge thing. Everything's changed once again on the designs of pools over the last 20 years. So it's interesting how you see a lot of things have changed.
They have.
Yeah, so they were building just massive. I mean, it's massive grottos. Huh? We have some like older pools up north that have these huge rock features everywhere, and you're like, man, you don't see that too much anymore. But
that's good. I'm not a huge fan of grottos. I'm not a huge fan of rocks. Big boulders. I feel like they just, every time you see them, they just look like people can't take care of them. There's calcium buildup on them or something. They just look
right.
So you kind of learn from mistakes then, you know, that's kind of, I guess, how we did a lot of our stuff, where it was like, all right, well, we made a mistake here, and then we developed a service agreement at one point because it was like, well, the customer needs to understand, you know, these things happen. Or we had an acid wash waiver at one point just because this lady made some claim that like we, you know, messed up something when she kicked us off halfway in the job and hired somebody else. and they're really ones that mess it up. But we just kept building these different processes based on those type of situations where it was like, well, we messed up or didn't protect ourselves, so this is what we do now.
But it keeps you from wasting time on things you don't need to be wasting time on. Like when things happen, you do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You don't have to sit there and reinvent the wheel every time a problem comes up.
Right. Well, here's a funny example of all this, and it still comes up to this day. Homeowners generally, a lot of them want like dark interiors, and they want dark plaster in a pool, like a black plaster. I have never found a black interior plaster that will hold up because of calcium and efflorescence and everything else. And we just won't do it. I will not do it. And I'm telling you, it's I have never had a homeowner happy with it. And so it's just, I think it's the environment of Arizona with the hard water and the calcium and everything else. It just can't be done. And so every time, though, our sales guys, sure, they want to do it. They want to sell it. Well, it's no way. We just aren't doing it because I know we're going to end up going out there. And I've even tried to name it Tuscan Swirl back in the day when all the Tuscan homes were being built. And it's a swirly product, the black interior. Well, it doesn't. People expect a pool to be almost like a painted finish, where it's perfect. That's what they look at. And the expectations, we know this as pool builders, and we have to educate the homeowner. And so when we have to make sure that they're happy at the end of the day. And it's just an example.
For sure. That's cool. You have like a no list. I'm sure a lot of people have some sort of that, but you made that clear with everybody, all your salespeople, like, no, we do not do that. That's cool. So you're building 300 or building 2,100 pools a year. 2008 comes. What happens after that?
That was a rough time. It's I'll give you a little sense of the Phoenix market. Phoenix was, when I started building pools in 1991, there were 8,000 permits pulled for pools in Maricopa County. Maricopa County consists of about 13 different cities. From Mesa to Phoenix to Scottsdale to Goodyear. So when you collect all those cities together, in the year of the early 1991, 92, there was 8,000 pools built. Well, it boomed to 21,000 permits in 2006, 2007. So the 21,000 permits for pools in the Maricopa County area. Well, in 2008, we all know what happened. The whole short sale, which is a new word that I'd never even heard of the homes, and people who were losing their houses and the mortgages, and there's a horrible, sad scenario what happened in the economy, and it really affected Arizona. And I got to tell you, I never thought it was coming. No, it's just mind-boggling of what happened. So we had to instantly downscale. We changed our whole business model, and but to give you an example of how bad it was in the pool industry, it went from 21,000 permits in 2006 to 3,800 permits in 2008. So it dropped 70+% in pool permits. So it was a really tough time, and it started the end of 2007, and it really lasted until about 2011, 12. And what's crazy about it is that as far as the numbers go, in Phoenix, Arizona, Maricopa County, today, it's 2019. Last year, the permit report, believe it or not, was 6,500 permits. It's actually below what it was in 1991, 92. Oh. And I've studied it, I've tracked it, and it's so I still think we're below normal, especially with the growth of the city. But I will tell you, it's it just tells you 20,000 permits were just kind of is this an anomaly? It was like, you know, we were selling pools to people to homeowners that were literally buying a home, and, you know, by the time the home was, this is a brand new home, they would buy a home for $300,000, and by the time the home was completed, it was worth $500 on paper, and that was in 2006. And so they had a credit line, and they had credit of, you know, 100,000 plus, and the first thing they did is buy a pool.
Yeah, take out the equity and put it down for a pool.
Right.
Wow.
Why do you think such a big drop off in pool builds?
Well, I just think the whole market consolidated. Everything shrunk. I mean, there was no lending. The banks shut down. I mean, literally, there's no lending.
But I mean, even now, you said there's 6,500 pools being built.
Yeah, 6,500 to 7,000 permits were pulled last year. You know, I think. Well, I have so we can move forward into that. I believe that the market it's just a different market now. The average pool prices have gone through the roof. It's not a pool today is not really, unfortunately, it's a standard for everybody buying a home. The pools are a lot more expensive. It's become more of I consider it was more of a commodity back in the day, where today it's more of a luxury item.
Right. You guys have kind of stayed in building volume. You know, you do have a luxury division, but you guys have kind of built this niche. And can you explain why you've chosen to stay with building more volume than, you know, scaling down?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is based on like our location. You know, we were our headquarters are in Gilbert, Arizona. You know, it's Gilbert was like the number one fastest growing family, you know, city in maybe even the country for a period of time. And that those homes down in that area in the Southeast Valley were, you know, the average medium home was probably $200,000-$400,000. And that's our business grew in that East Valley big time. And then the West Side, we opened an office on the West Side in Goodyear, Arizona, and that was very similar to the East Valley.
Mm-hmm.
So we're just a little curious. What is, you know, having such a big company with presidential pools? What's the culture like over there? How are you keeping people there? How is it, you know, inviting for people to want to work there? What's going on over there?
Well, we constantly try and change things up. You know, we have had some, you know, we have great employees that have been there for years. Our retention is, I mean, our salespeople just don't leave. I mean, they've been there for years. I mean, I would tell you our top 10, 15 salespeople have been there for over 15 years, you know, 20 years. And,
wow.
You know, they're, we do have great retention with our staff. We do things for them. You know, we do annual trips. We include them in different fun activities that we do. We reward them, and we try and build a really good, you know, environment for them. You know, actually today they're all going to a spring training game. I wish I was going with them. So,
oh really?
They're going to the one of the Cubs games. So,
how many people is that?
I think about 30 of them are going. So yeah. We've done now twice this month, but every month we do some sort of a event, and you know, whether it's going to a movie, to, you know, whatever it is. We also have incentive trips for our sales guys. We take them on. Last year we went on a cruise. Year before that we take them to. We go down to like Puerto Vallarta, and I do an annual incentive trip where they have to earn it. They have to sell a certain amount of pools, and so we have an incentive program that's set up in the beginning of the year, and you know, we really try and build a culture. We have a sales meeting the first of every month. We have construction meetings once a month. The service and warranty department, the same. And we include on our sales trips, we include certain, some of our project managers will go and some of our service managers will go as well.
Right. And what does education look like?
Education, well, what we try and do, I can start with our sales staff. Well, we brought in we took our sales manager from our surprise office and we made him a trainer. And so what we did with him is the pool sales guys are really, it's a whole different deal now than what it was 20 years ago. 20 years ago, it was drawing a pool on a sheet of paper, and there wasn't really the computer system. So this whole VR, virtual reality, and Pool Studio, and all the different programs out there, and not only that, programs of designing a pool, but also for pricing a pool and costing a pool, have just evolved into. These guys got to be really educated, and there's a curve now to become a pool salesperson. And so we saw that, and so we decided to hire a trainer, and we actually hired people because we needed more sales staff. We've hired people that are just educated and just really good, genuine relationship type salespeople, and that's what we're really excited about, and that really helped us kind of come out of this bad economy, and kind of have some new ideas and new technology and different ways we do things.
Right. Thank you.
You made a couple big shifts after that too, with starting Blue Square and Pebble Radiance. Can you kind of talk about why you did those?
Yeah, and actually before that, what we did, in 2008, when 2008 hit, we actually had to change the model of our business. So here we had 350 employees. We had to downscale, unfortunately. But what we did is we actually sold our equipment and our crews to subcontractors. So we went back to a subcontractor base. And, instead of laying people off, what we did is we moved them, into going to work for subcontractors. And it really saved our company. And, that time was extraordinarily competitive because here you have, all the different pool builders in the Phoenix area trying to sell pools and keep their margins and keep their market share. And there wasn't really enough business to go around, and everybody's really selling the same product. So I've always wanted my own in-floor system, my own interior finish company, and I wanted to be different. And I really felt I could build a better system out there. And so I had an opportunity. I had this young pool service guy. I have an open door policy, and I mean literally, you could walk into my office and, hey, is Tim around? Come on back. My door's always open. I'm not the guy that hey, make an appointment, whatever. So anyways, this young kid walks in my office. He's 23 years old. His dad, history of pool service, but he went to ASU. He's a hydraulic engineer, and he came up with this idea of a new valve for an in-floor system. And I was like, wow, that's really cool. So I ended up buying it. I said, I want to buy all your IP, and so I bought the intellectual property. And I had a really close friend of mine that invented the grip ball, the squeeze ball, back in like the I don't know, late 80s. The guy became a millionaire. He was like 23 years old. And he's one of my best friends. And so I go, Mark, can you help me develop this product? He was a total product guy. Like, he really understood how to mold and tool, and he had an art for all this. And so hence Blue Square came about, and we developed a valve. We developed all the in-floor heads. I partnered with a company to help us build a drain. So we have the Eclipse drain, and I started doing shows and showing this product. And I even went down to Australia, and I found a company there that sells pool lights that have been around for 25 years, and LED pool lights, and the coolest lights I've ever seen. And so I got a North America licensing agreement with them, and the rest is history on that. We have an unbelievable pool light. and we put it in every pool we built since 2011. And this is back when we were doing 400-watt lights. It's almost like stupid crazy. It's like, really? Are we really going to build a pool with a 400-watt light where you swim up and you feel the heat coming from the light? It just doesn't sound right when you're buying cars that have LED everything. So,
Yeah.
But anyways, I could talk about this forever. But we developed Blue Square because we needed to be different, and it was the right move for sure. And then Pebble Radiance, we started that as well. So
Nice. And what do you think is different about the products you're manufacturing?
Well, I mean, so Pebble Radiance, back in the day, this is back in 2008, 2009. Everybody was selling basically the same interior finish, right? And I was like, we got to do something that's has a little more sizzle to it. I mean, it's like an appliance. That's what I felt like. Like the interior. It's like everybody. They'll drive a car that's kind of maybe like an appliance, like a standard car or whatever. But everybody wants the funner car, right? Or the funner something, or something that has a little more sizzle to it, right? So let's try and give them some more sizzle. So I came up with this idea of let's take 25% of the rock out of a pebble pool and let's put 25% of glass in and see what happens. Like a tumbled glass. Let's make a glass that looks like a pebble. Not like a round piece of glass, but more of a tumbled glass. And so, so we ended up doing that. And then we injected this iridescent hue to it. And we put it we stripped out a spawn, we put it in, and we put it in a top step, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. The sun hits it, it's got a really cool shimmer to it and everything else. I mean, let's make it standard. So that's what we did. We made it standard. So I started importing glass, and the rest was history. We've never looked back. And it's been a 10-year ride now with Pebble Radiance, and it's a standard interior finish. And it just kind of set us apart. It's just one of those things.
So that goes in all of your pools you build?
Yeah, every pool is standard, when our sales guys. So you ask about like retention with employees and stuff. So another thing, I really believe that if we have a great environment, we have a great product, we need to make it where these guys want to come to work and sell pools. And, we want them excited about kind of what we do, and it's, if as the mission of us, as me and our management team, we have to give them that, and that's like the pool park. I wanted, back in, so I built this facility back in 2000. I was driving to our strip center office, and I think that put us on the map as well. I'm driving down the road, but Baseline Road where I lived, and I see this little farmhouse sitting there, and I'm like, man, that'd be cool to have an office there. It's a great location. So I literally get out of my car one day on my way to work, and I walk up to this old dilapidated farmhouse, knock on the door, and this little lady walks out and says, I go, do you want to sell your property? And she goes, yeah, I've been thinking about it. She's like in her late 80s or so. And I said, yeah, I've been thinking about it. So I go, well, do you mind if I have my realtor talk to you about selling? And sure enough, I buy the property. And it was 5 acres with about a 1,800 square foot house sitting on it. And boy, did I learn a lot on that deal. So I buy this house thinking I could just build a building there, right? Well, no, I got to get the city, and I got to get it rezoned, and I got to deal with all that. And I find out it's in a floodplain of all things. And so I find out this building's in a floodplain, and I got to dedicate a third of the land to this water retention park. And I'm like, oh, man. So I can't build a very big building, So I build this building, and I got this third of it. I got to, dig out this whole area, and just to hold water. So I go to the town of Gilbert. I go, hey, can I put a pool down there? Yeah, we don't see why not. So I get a permit. I build a display area. So I built 3 pools down there, and it turned out it was the best thing we ever did. I mean, it was so cool. So now we have 7 pools down there that are fully backyard. Each one's like a backyard. And I mean, we are on this. We're every year in December. We're tearing it apart and putting the newest, latest, greatest travertines and marbles. But homeowners can go down there and pick out the color of their pool interior, the color of their decking. I mean, what type of water features they want, and I mean, it's just a really cool environment for our sales staff.
That's got to be so cool, just being able to see something and touch something that's tangible right in front of you. Like this could be in your backyard. That's really cool that you guys did that.
And we try it with the environment. We've got the foggers going. We got the music playing. We've got you look at these professional retailers. You go into the Scottsdale Quarter. I mean, they even have you walk into some of these stores, they have ambience where they have mist or something it's just we're kind of not very smart pool builders, but yet we got to understand the retail side of this business, and there's a lot to it.
Right.
So,
and what was I mean, you guys are just humans. You're like, man, I would like to see that. If I were a customer, I would love to come to a property that had a bunch of different pools. I mean, was that the thought behind it? It was just something that, you wanted to do and you had the resources to do it.
Well, I don't know if we had the resources. I mean, it was a struggle. I mean, every hour, everything, I just felt like it was a constant expense of money rolling out the door, and I just wanted to grow the business presidential, and that's what I did. I was focused on, I didn't really care about me. It was more about the company, in the early days. And so I wanted an experience for the homeowner to come in there, and because I remember I did sell pools. I did go out there and design pools and sell them, and it was a real hassle for me and our guys to go out to a homeowner's house and sit in their kitchen table with the dogs and everything else in their house and everything else, and they were always distracted because you were in their environment. They had the TV going, somebody's making dinner, or somebody was late, or this or that. And so I wanted them to come to my hood, my house. And that changed a lot. And so we, even to this day, our sales guys they want the homeowners to come over and literally now with all this technology, again, like Google Maps, they can zero in and look at their backyard right now online, where the day you had to go measure it and you had to go see what the topography was in their backyard and everything else. Now it's all online. Yeah. And so we bring them into our showroom, and with the virtual reality and the computer programs and everything else, it really it's hard to set up shop in a homeowner's house. So it's much easier at our locations.
Well, that kind of flows well into our next question. So can you explain the process of how it works? So a customer comes up with an idea or gives you a call and says, hey, I want to build a pool. Where does it go from there? And what's your you don't have to give all the secrets, but just kind of how does it flow from when a customer calls you or a customer says, I have an idea to build a pool?
Yeah. I mean, a customer will get a hold of us, and, it'll go directly to a sales person, and, well, obviously we track that lead. We know who the person is. We really try and we know, we could even know what kind of phone they're using. I mean, today's technology is crazy, and so we get their email address and everything else, and so we find out what type of pool they want, and they meet with the salesperson. And again, it's we try and make it a real relationship type situation. We're designing something for their family. What's gonna be in their backyard? Do they have a family? Do they have kids? Or is it a senior, older people maybe that want to just entertain? Is it more for just the house value? There's so many different aspects that go along with what the buyer's criteria is, and that's up to our sales staff to really find out and dig into.
Sure. So do they come to the area and pick out what they like, and then kind of go through a process of then start building it?
Yeah, I mean they'll come into one of our offices, whether it's down in Tucson or Surprise or Gilbert, and not all of them come to our office. So probably 25% of them will go out there and work with them there, but we will really try and encourage them to come to our office to pick out colors and pick out selections and this and that.
I'm sure it's easier for the sales staff that way too, because you can pretty much just show them exactly what it's going to look like, rather than an idea of, oh, I think it'll look like this. But if you can actually see, like, this is the color in the pool, you can see what it looks like.
I mean, it truly does help. It was a long-term investment. You know, it was a lifetime investment, basically. You know, building a building and being committed, and it's what we were about. You know, it was a major commitment to do that, to build that facility, and even our other facilities. We just finished a display pool in our Tucson. We love it so much that our Tucson office, we just built a display pool outside. We tore out the parking lot, and we built a display pool as well. So we have a pool park down there as well. So it's not really we would love it in every location.
Right.
So
For sure. Your team's also had the opportunity to build some very large commercial projects. Can you kind of tell us what's involved with those larger type deals?
Yeah. So, you know, I told myself I would never get into commercial because it just scared me. And it was a very scary deal. You know, commercial pools. Oh, my gosh. Look at all the things that can go wrong with a commercial. One, you know, I always tried to, our business, I always tried to, like, you know, mitigate risk. I guess that's back in my insurance growing up. I never wanted to have like one entity where I could go down, you know, like let's say a big home builder went out of business, or who knows what could happen, right? You know, so I tried to really mitigate my risk in different sources, just kind of business 101 type stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And so I always feared commercial. And it's like, wow, you know, one big $1 million pool. What would happen if something happened? You know, because I'm going to stand behind it, right, no matter what. And so, anyways, the point of it is we hired a team of commercial guys that their business was going out of business, and they came over, and they had, I hate to say it, but more experience than I have. And at the time, and so we've been in the commercial business now for about almost 15 years, and it's been a great deal. We run the commercial business totally separate than the residential business. Different subs, different. It's a whole different deal. So
nice. So you have a whole different team, so they understand all the different rules that are laid out between the two.
Absolutely. You know, commercial, you're dealing with the county health department, and lot more requirements, and different type of customer too. You know, you're dealing with it's more business. It's business to business, you know, versus business to the consumer. So it's definitely a different business.
I think that helps kind of limit the mistakes made, because they're only focusing on that type of pool rather than going from a residential pool one day to building a commercial pool the next day.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at our company, and I think a successful part of our business is we've really tried to have people that do certain phases in our business do those phases and do them super well and do them great at it. So let's not have too much crossover. We do have that in upper management, absolutely. I mean, all of us are on the upper management side are not afraid to get our hands dirty or jump into any situation, whatever it takes. But as far as the departments, we have the residential project managers do what they do best, and that's running around building pools, where a commercial project manager is going to sit on one job and really that's that job, and he's there maybe for 3 months, So it's just a different deal.
All right. Well, thanks for sharing all of that with us. One cool thing I saw you guys did in 2016, you hosted Michael Phelps there, and how did that come about, and what was that experience like?
Yeah, Michael Phelps was we get into the above ground spa business, and he was the endorser for Master Spas, and we had him promote, our business and our spa business, and he's a great guy. He's just such a great guy, and I have huge respect for him with all the medals and everything that he won. But he lives out here in Phoenix now, and it's great getting to know him.
Yeah, and that was an event with like kids, right? And it was I forget exactly what it was for, but you guys had brought kids to the pool park, and he was talking with them.
Yeah, we had we do a swim school too. We donate the pool park for swim lessons, and he was out there talking to the kids, at that one of the swim lessons that we do a Saturday morning deal out there. So
Cool. It's fun. Yeah. Sure, it was cool for those kids.
Yeah, they loved it. Yeah.
So we're always talking about bringing new technology into this industry, and from our research, it seems like you've been pretty progressive in that area. What type of technology have you applied to your business, and how has it helped?
Well, I think two ways. One, product, okay, and then the other ways are software and our scheduling methods in our business. So really twofold. I do believe that, the biggest movement, I think, in the pool industry was back in 2008. I mean, I know it was at the worst time, but, let's face it, Pentair Pool Equipment came out with that variable speed pump, all right, and that really changed the mecca of the pool industry. I mean, now you have laws out there throughout the country where you have to use a variable speed pump. And they were on the forefront of that deal. Whenever we all know that, and it just so with that variable speed pump that came out, we really wanted a valve that worked with that variable speed pump, and then our lighting came in. It just all made sense. It's almost funny because back in like the late 90s and early 2000s, nobody cared about energy. And now everybody cares about energy. I mean, you look at even the cars that are on the road today and just the electric bills. People would rather spend more money up front on a product that's going to save them energy down the road. And it's a fact. And that's what's happened in the pool industry. And so we've jumped on that with the Blue Square system. I mean, everything we do is about energy, about saving, and efficiency. So with that going on, and then we have the technology side, of our business. What can we do to minimize our superintendents to knowing what's going on those job sites? Well, we enacted cameras. We put cameras on job sites. They can log in. We put a camera on the job site with a homeowner and in their backyard, connected to their Wi-Fi with no power, battery system. And when we're done, we give it to the homeowner. Tell them they can log in and they can use it now for their security, for their pool. But we can log in and look at the job and know who was there and who was not. It's fuel that's going out there to the job site. There's just a lot of different things of saving methods, safety. We have a new program that we're getting ready to launch. We've already launched it in our service department, and it's basically it's going into our construction department here in the next month or so. And it's a program where we follow the job along, where our homeowners log in to the job schedule. They know the status of where the job is. The trades log in. They know the schedules. So it's a real automated system. So we've been constantly looking at different things like that. So
that's amazing stuff. And I know you guys just recently, or maybe back in 2018, added virtual reality to even the sales division.
Yeah, we've added virtual reality. So all of our pools are all 3D, drawn on 3D. And then to take that to the next level, I mean, literally a lot of the pool builders are doing this now, but it's great. I'm amazed by it. I got to tell you, I hate to say it, but I don't know how to do this. my sales guys do. I have not learned it, but they literally can drop, like, they'll look at the husband and wife and with their dog, and they'll look at what color their dog is and everything, and they'll drop that dog in a 3D drawing, with the husband throwing the frisbee across the pool in this 3D drawing of the dog. It's amazing that they're able to do that, and they can do this within under an hour. They can design a pool, and it's the kids they put in their pool, and then the night drops when it goes to nighttime and a daytime with the sound and the effects, and then taking it to the next level, virtual reality, putting the goggles on, and they started with the Oculus glasses. I'm not a gamer, but the gaming industry really has brought that to the forefront for the pool industry, right, for designing pools. So.
Yeah, and it's just one more thing that you can add, for a new generation to step in. Some people might not want to wear the 3D goggles, and then there's a new generation that is pretty excited about it.
Correct. Yeah.
What was your kind of thought when somebody brought that to your attention? Because you've been building pools since 80s. So when somebody brought this new, I can build this, design structure studio, whatever, with virtual reality. Do you remember some of those conversations or what your thoughts were?
Well, I think it's amazing because when the homeowners come in, we have to you have to sit down. We tell them they have to sit down. We don't want them standing up. We don't want to fall over. Because they got these goggles on. They're looking all over. They're looking up. They're looking down. It's like you gotta be careful, But yeah, you're talking to a guy that literally I think my VCR still blinks at 12 o'clock. I don't think I have that anymore. But it's amazing. It's the technology is really amazing.
But you had pagers and two-way radios. To virtual reality. It's pretty crazy.
And the cell phone too. The cost of these cell phones back in the day when they first started coming out, the old brick phone. I mean, for the usage on those phones, and now it's I look at the phone cost for a cell phone, and nobody even has house phones anymore. It seems like it's like everybody has a cell phone. It is truly amazing at how everything really has progressed with the technology, for the pool industry. And then you look at the equipment too. I mean, like no more pads in a house that are wired. All the control systems were all. We thought we were back in 10 years ago. Everybody had a keypad wired to by their door going outside of their pool. Well, now it's all on a phone. So all the pool equipment's hooked to the Wi-Fi router, and it's all an app on their phone, and it's amazing. And so, we even can access it, and control the pools. So,
with technology, is your marketing budget going up?
You guys will be amazed at this, but back in what's crazy about it is when we started building in 91 to 2005. I kid you not, but we never advertised. We were doing 2,000 pools a year, and we were maybe spending $200,000 to $300,000 a year in marketing, which is average pool of $30,000. I mean, you're $70-80 million a year in revenue, whatever it was. Spending a couple $100,000 in advertising is nothing. Right. We can all agree on that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
what was it going towards?
We were just going. We just never had a marketing budget because we just really felt like let's just build pools, build great pools, make people happy, and they'll knock on our doors. And sure enough, that's what we did. We had a big referral program where we paid I think $300 per referral to a homeowner to refer us to their neighbor or friends or family. And that was, we've always had that even to this day. And, then we felt like, we went around the valley. We'd ask people hey, have you heard of presidential pools? This is back 06, 07. People go, no. They've heard of the big, the other companies, that have been around. Not that they were bigger. We were, we kind of grew to the number one spot, but we're not a household name, and that kind of bothered me. So I was like, you know what, we're gonna advertise. Why not? So I threw money at it. We advertised, and then we were, believe it or not, in 2006 we were only 10% market share. So I was building, again, there were 21,000 pools built in Phoenix. We were building 2,100. That's 10% of the market share. And I was like, you know what? We can 10% is not very big for a market share. So that's why then we're now about 16 to 17% market share. So we've increased our market share. But I think the advertising has helped definitely with that. And advertising today is a lot more complicated than what it was, 10 years ago.
Yeah, and I see that you guys are popping up everywhere. Like, before we even got started, I saw a billboard in Phoenix and, pop up Instagram ads and Facebook ads and different things like that. And it's important to be in all those places because with technology, it's so much easier for other people to be invited into our industry to become a designer or be something else. They might not have the reputation, but, being online allows you to kind of fake a little bit until you make it,
Yeah, I think in today's world, it's, you've got to be out there and be present. People want instant gratification or whatever you want to call it with the web and everything else. And so you got to be out there. And so that we try and do that. And, lots of different forms of marketing. We're in a really large city. So, some of the media sources are very costly. Like, for instance, like TV, in smaller markets, you can do that. But in Phoenix, it's a big market, and it's just cost prohibitive. Yeah. And
right. So with all the different businesses you've had and all the things you've done, if you could, do it all over, what would you change?
Oh boy, that's a tough question. Oh, well, I got the first one initially. I know exactly what I would have done. I would have charged more per pool. Seriously. I think we left a lot of profits on the table just because we were always thinking about, growing the business, this and that. I think we could have, I think a lot of business owners are afraid to increase costs increase their price. But I felt like we have a great product, and I felt like, volume isn't the best thing sometimes. I think don't be afraid to increase costs. That would probably be the one, but that was what we did.
And, you talked a little bit about it in the beginning. You wish you had gone to college, for even a younger entrepreneur, somebody wanting to get into the pool business or something. Would you recommend doing some, business classes, accounting, basic accounting, finance, learning how to budget? Because I know we talk about it quite a bit that we don't even think in, high school or middle school, they don't talk enough about the real world and how to budget your money for the real world and finances and things like that. I mean, they kind of graze over it, but they could definitely do a better job of, prepping you for the real world.
Yeah, I think definitely. I one thing I would love to have gone back is go back and learn more finance, accounting. We're one of probably the few businesses in the country that we actually have audited financials, which we're pretty proud of that, to be able to do that. And it's basically it's a set of accountants that come in and look at every single deficiency or whatever potential you have. And, just to sit with these guys and have the confidence and understanding of that is important. And I've had to learn it over years, where if I would have learned it early on, it would have helped me.
Right. Thank you for sharing that with us. So what would be your best advice for an entrepreneur looking to get into the industry, or someone that's already in the industry and looking to advance their services they provide? What kind of advice would you give to them?
Well, I think you've got to learn, the process. I I got to tell you, there's nothing wrong with working for a pool builder as well. You know, I mean, make sure you're picking the right company that you're going to work for. You know, it's not as easy as it. I think it's more. I think it's challenging now to really get started and get into building pools. It's not for everybody. Okay, that's for one thing. I think you back up, and I would honestly, if you're gonna be the 24 hours a day guy, and you're willing to worry about things, you know, all the time, and make sure that everything's done right. Because I mean, if you aren't willing to do it go to that level, then it may not be for you, because it's not something you can just do part time. You know, running a business and starting a company, it's a full-time deal, and a lot of pressures, a lot of thought, and a lot of work. And that's part of it. If you're willing to do that, then all for it. You know, I just think, and my thing would be, I would start slower. I would start with smaller projects, and just take one day at a time. And don't get ahead of yourself financially. There's another major problem. You know, it's you got to really stay in tune to what you're doing. And what goes along with not even being said is, you just got to take care of the customer, because one bad customer, that one job that goes sideways that you don't take care of, will haunt you forever. You know, you got to, no matter what. You got to be willing to step up, and, you know, whether you're right or wrong, you got to fix it. It's done. It doesn't matter. You have to go into it with that attitude that it's the customer's always right, and that's the philosophy that you have to go in at, and that would be probably, you know, what you have to understand. And it is what it is.
Yeah,
so
we love all that. Thank you. And I don't know if a lot of people understand how many sacrifices you have to make, you know, in order to get to that level. Because, you know, even for what we've done over the last 5 years, I have friends that are kind of doing the same thing. They're moving up with a business they worked in. But they don't a lot of people don't ever see kind of the behind the scenes sacrifices you have to make, because it's not really something you talk about on social media. It's not something you bring up at Thanksgiving or, you know, Christmas. It's all happy, but think that there's a lot of sacrifices with your family and other things that, you know, being an entrepreneur is not easy. And, you know, sometimes you become successful because you make those sacrifices, you know, and there's some that we could think about. It's like, yeah, maybe we shouldn't have done that, but we probably wouldn't be where we're at if some of those weren't made.
Yeah, I don't think, and, you know, there's a word that I don't really like. It's called luck. I don't believe in luck. I just don't think. I mean, some things obviously can go in your way, and you're good for you, but the word luck is just not. It's just, you know, I think what it comes down to is really just taking care of your employees and your customers, and just doing the right thing. You know, I mean, there's you got to put it all together. There's not just one thing that's going to be your answer here. And, you know, it is what it is.
Yeah. I don't believe in luck either. I feel like you always have these opportunities, and if you decide to seize the moment when an opportunity comes up and you've aligned things correct, then you're good to go. So it's all about that thing coming through, and if you can, you know, jump on the opportunity, then you did.
Yeah, but we always talk about, like, you know, people lining their businesses that they worked 10 years in the trenches, and then all of a sudden they became this big hit, and everybody's like, oh, I could do that. You know, look how quickly they became famous, or how quickly they started making money. It's like, well, you missed out. You weren't there through the hard 10 years of, you know, 80 hours a week, or when they were doing all these hard things. Even like in our industry, I think a lot of people who work for other people, including some of our team and some of the other people that are underneath the owners, like, I don't think anybody really realizes how much work it is. And, you know, you get to come in, work your 8 hours and check out, you know, and go home, be with your family, play with your kids, a lot of time that's not what we do, you know, or as the owner, you have a lot of different things. You're always constantly thinking, always constantly trying to make things better and working on ideas in your head. I mean, I have a hard time sleeping just because my brain just keeps going and going. Sometimes it's crazy.
Right. And, you know, there's continuing challenges, you know, going forward, as just owning a business, even now, you know, the biggest thing right now is the contractors out there, you know, the subcontractor market right now. It's, you know, this 2008 hit so bad and hit so many people, you know. I mean, I had really close friends of mine, you know, lose their houses and lose their businesses, and it was a life altering deal, and it will go down in the history of my lifetime as a really, really, you know, tough recession. But with that being said, I think a lot of the subcontractors are really afraid to grow. They're afraid to buy trucks. They're afraid to buy new equipment. They're afraid to grow their business, which is really making the cost go up on pools, and it's really hindering growth, and that's a problem.
Yep.
So,
right.
Well, we're very honored that you came here and shared your story with us. We've heard about you for a very long time. We've cleaned hundreds of your pools. They're all very good, including actually one of our most favorite pool is actually where we did our first photo shoot for Pool Chasers.
Crawley.
I don't know if you know their last name's Crawley, but it's up on the mountain.
Which they own their
own mountain. But yeah, it was a really cool pool that you guys built, and that was kind of our favorite. So, you know, we respect everything you've done. So thanks for coming in and sharing all that with us. You know, where can people find Presidential, Blue Square, Pebble, Radiance? What's your guys' website? And
yeah, it's presidentialpools.com and Blue Square MFG.com. And yeah, so we're out there. So we're on the web. We're as far as Blue Square goes, we're at all the trade shows too. We have a team of salespeople that run the country.
Yeah.
So,
we just started to see Blue Square pop up quite a lot more within our pools that we were servicing. So it seems like a really good system.
Yeah. Well, I thank you guys too. I think this is really cool that you guys are doing these podcasts and getting different people to talk, you know, just about their experiences in the industry. So I think that is super cool what you guys are doing. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you guys so much for listening. We truly appreciate your time and your ear. It means the world to us that you come spend time with us each and every week. If you have any questions, please reach out to us at poolchasers.info@gmail.com. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Our tag is Pool Chasers. Also, join the Facebook group if you have not already. It's awesome in there. And please take the time to check out our Patreon page. We're about to drop a lot of business content on there to help you grow your business. So thank you for believing in the podcast. We appreciate you all.
See you out there, Pool Chasers.